Hey, Vahe and Pete and I are here today because Rustin Dodd is winging his way, I believe, from Northern California to Southern California. And where he was in, well, he started in Southern California with the Royals Padres, went up to San Francisco to cover that series, and now he's going down to see the Angels, where the Royals begin a 4-game series tonight. And so far, pretty darn good for the Royals in this road trip.
Yeah, and you wouldn't quite go as far as to call it a game changer, but I tell you what, Blair, it's sort of, pushing out the trend, right? I mean, they're 20-14 now since the 10-20 start. The bats are really alive. They've kind of done more than tread water with some rotation problems with injuries. And today, though, we see the latest experiment with Matt Strom.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's start with this question, because I wrote some questions down. See,
there really is something on there?
Preparation.
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
Does this team have a run in them? Does this team have the type of run in them that we saw, not so much in 2015, because they were so good throughout the year.
Gate to gate.
Gate to gate, right.
Yeah.
They had to kind of get through that. They were kind of, the September was a little slow, but they'd already kind of clinched it by then. So, but in 2013, they had a slow start. In 2014, they were around 500 at the All-Star break and caught fire. Even last year, slow starting. So in years in which they have been good, there was always that terrible month. And of course, we know what happened in April this year. Was it 7-16 or you mentioned?
10-20 ultimately. I think that was the
into May.
Yeah, 10 games under 500.
So does this team? There are a lot of guys back on this team that were part of those poor spring, late spring, early summer months. The core guys are here for the most part in the lineup. Is this team capable of having the kind of run that got the Royals, to in a few years postseason play?
It may not have 2015 type stuff. Maybe. I mean, I guess that remains to be seen. But look, so the last 4 years, I got here 4 years ago. Every year we've seen something of a get off the mat or just dominance. Now, the core is here, but you do look at some key elements that are gone the last couple of years. You don't have a Ben Zobrist or a Morales. You don't have some of the pitching. Wade Davis, gone.
Greg
The bullpen
Holland.
format's different.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't say the nucleus isn't still there. And also, to me, this has been a good team. Last year, some weird stuff happened. I still want to see the parallel universe where Moustakas and Gordon didn't run into each other.
Yeah.
So I do think the 10-20 was bizarre. I don't think that was ever who they really were. I think 2014 is a lot closer to what I thought they had in them. And look, here's a way to frame it. At least that's how I was looking at it. You do one more 20-14, you're a couple games over 500 and a game out of first.
And you're still probably not quite at the trade deadline. Even at that point.
That's about right. You're still probably a week from the trade deadline. Now, of course, this is a whole other aspect of this, but the thing that's going to be really weird is if they're at just this crazy stalemate point where it's like not really in, not really out.
It's like they have to be either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
But mediocre, really complicates the issue.
It does, and it would. But I tell you what, you see the bats are awake. I mean, 35 runs the last 4 games. Yeah. The thing to remember, of course, is that they're playing 2 of the worst teams in baseball. These last 2 series.
And until they saw Cueto yesterday, they hadn't faced a starting pitcher who you thought was, they couldn't handle.
Yeah.
And then they handled Cueto really well.
Yeah, they sure did. But even coming into that, it was the split with the Astros, generally regarded right now as the best team in baseball. 2 out of 3 with the Indians. So the trend is moving that way. I guess we get another sort of set of answers in a 4-game series with the Angels.
Right. I think, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, anything less than a split would be, a little disappointing. I think splits minimum.
Yeah.
With going into this with a Mike Trout-less, Angels team.
Exactly. And I sort of feel like you see 3 out of 4 out there, and then they come home for 6 with the Red Sox, 6 or 7 with the Red Sox in Toronto. I think, doesn't that open that week up to being a pretty exciting week?
It does. I think it does. With